Well, hello everyone, it's Ferocia here, and I'm coming to you from Coach Training World. And I have the wonderful pleasure of being here with Frieda Levycky. And she is, it's so interesting because I'm really struggling with how to introduce you, because I want to say that you really are the ultimate life coach, in the sense that you really do touch on different pieces of people's life. And like what I've always sensed is you really help people to find balance, but kind of underneath that, you really help them to be that confident version of themselves as a way of being in the world. And I know, as a life coach, a lot of people think that means a lot of different things, but I really feel like your core strengths is really birthing that person into that person they want to be. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Frieda, I'm wondering if you'd maybe talk a little bit about why an attorney would come into coaching.
Yeah, so I am a lawyer. So I have been in the legal career for 15 years. So when I decided to go into the coaching route, I thought a really good opportunity would be to help legal professionals, because I know the problems that they've gone through, because I've gone through quite a lot myself and have watched other people go through similar problems. And from a coaching perspective, I've gone through my own coaching and counselling route as I've grown up and various issues got addressed, and I saw the benefits of doing that. And all of that experience I wanted to be able to pass on to other lawyers who are struggling with similar issues.
Yeah. And what would you say are some of the issues that you see in general in the legal profession? And I imagine these are probably not just exclusive to that group.
They're certainly not exclusive to the legal profession. Gosh, there's lots. A lot of people at varying stages, they go through changes in career, up the career ladder. So going from an associate to a senior associate, from a senior associate to a partner. And during those stages of transformation, there's quite a lot of lack of confidence that comes up. There's a lot of trying to juggle work and personal life and the obligations with families and children and partners and your health and sports and friendships and dinners and drinks, whilst also trying to find a client base, build a client base, bring in money, and all the other things that the legal world requires. It's a demanding lifestyle. There's a lot of expectations that are placed on lawyers, long hours, late nights, and it's quite overwhelming for a lot of lawyers. Lots of sacrifices get made as well. So I end up coaching a lot around how to create a balance between that personal and professional life, and how to bring, you lose yourself quite a lot in the early years of being a lawyer, and bringing that happiness and that health and that fulfillment back into your life at a later stage is really important. So yeah, the confidence gets rocked as well because everybody is in the office so much and on top of each other a lot of the time. There's often inter-office politics, a lot of not bullying per se so much nowadays, but there's quite a lot of ostracism that goes on, and tactics, and just toxic work environments that need to get pulled through, really.
Yeah. Well, it feels like it's a very competitive field.
Very.
Yeah. And it's not only, just from what I understand of that world from my friends that are attorneys, that you have to prove your worth, especially in the beginning. And you almost have to give your whole self to everything you do, which means that your partners, if you're married, kind of get, maybe even having children, gets put by the wayside. Certainly the health, I know a lot of my friends really struggle because it's the choice of, I better stay after work and take care of this, or, so a lot of that inner dialogue that can develop of like choice, choosing between my professional life and me as a person.
Very much so. Also the element of what I should be doing, what will people think if I leave? I need to please everybody in order to make it up the corporate ladder. I need to be seen. I don't feel as though I can leave the office. Those are all issues that definitely come up, certainly in the early mid-years.
Yeah. Well, and I'm wondering, because as a coach, we both know like a lot of that work is with the thinking that develops around the culture and, like you said, the expectations. Like, what would be some wisdom you would give to maybe people that would be looking at hiring a coach and saying, why would I do this? Why would I invest in a coach? I could figure this out on my own.
So, well, without being rude, my first question is saying, then why aren't you figuring it out on your own? And that's what my piece of wisdom is that you're in a situation, and if you're considering coaching, you've got to a stage where you've probably tried quite a lot of things, tried to change things, and that there is probably a level of frustration and annoyance that has grown, and life just doesn't seem to be the way that you'd have ever envisaged it. And the first thing I would really ask is this the life that you want 5 years down the line? If you were in the same place now, how would you feel? And the answer usually is no, because that's why they're looking for a coach. And the reality is, when you start working backwards and start asking more questions around that as to why you don't want that, and why is this the goal that you want, but you don't feel like you can get there, you start being able to unpack confidentially and together what are the real things that are holding you back. From my own experience, having that support to be able to really look at what those issues are and not be scared about talking about those issues is why a coach is so helpful.
Absolutely. And you use the word together. And I feel like there's so many people that are in career paths that are very intense, competitive. I'm going to use the word aggressive. This is where a different part of them has to really come out of them. And having someone in a safe, confidential space, someone that truly has your back, that's not in that environment, that you can almost unfold. And so you can dive into those old habits that have developed over time and maybe start to make those shifts through a support system that looks very different than the one you're working in. Yeah.
I agree. And the reality is, from the legal, I do coach other professionals and other people, but from a legal professional perspective, I am a lawyer. I am still practicing, and I have been for 15 years. And that real understanding of what the legal world throws at you, at least they feel as though that I can understand, I really do understand what they're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still feel like, as an entrepreneur, a lot of the things that you've talked about, that balance, that commitment, sometimes my experience is that boundary of like going, okay, I need to draw the line here. It's good enough. I'm good enough.
Yeah.
Isn't just with attorneys, but I think the field itself, is just rich with like a lot of opportunities for people to really reclaim themselves. I just love that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And be the person you want to be as a lawyer, not the person that you have been told and seen on TV and through history of what lawyers should look like. The one thing that I have always been really proud of myself, and I've been criticized about it during my career, was that I've always been very open and very authentic. I've never put on a mask to be a lawyer. I go in as Frieda, I'm there as Frieda, I chat to everybody as Frieda, and I come back. And that has allowed me to be the lawyer I wanted to be. I've still struggled on other areas, but I've never changed my identity in that way.
Mm. And that's exactly why you should be championing other people to be them. I should say, be their whole selves, not just be themselves, but be their whole selves. Yeah. So I have a curiosity. So as you know, training to become a coach, one of the things that we talk about is really the coach is the instrument of change. And really it's you and how you create that relationship, how you show up with that client that becomes a big factor in their success. What would you say was kind of your biggest learning? Hello, Kat. Sorry.
The parents, the dog as well.
I love COVID. We get to do everything from home, and our zoo is with us. Sorry, guys. Oh, but I'm just curious about that. Like for you, what was kind of your biggest transformation?
Sorry, I missed the question. As a coach or as a
training to become a coach?
My biggest learning curve. I fell in love with coaching the minute I stepped into the program. I just loved all of the questions, and for me it was I had a viewpoint that coaching was all about having lots of tools to hand and being able to hand over things and to be able to do lots of quizzes and lots of kind of lots of worksheets that I would have to do. And actually the most poignant aha moments come from talking and listening and being able to just hear back conversations that you've been having with yourself over and over again with a coach. A coach says it back to you and you go, oh, that's what that sounds like, or oh, I see that from a different perspective. And the power of powerful questions is really quite euphoric. That's been my biggest eye-opener from the coaching process.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is it really allowed you to take an insider's look at yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think I've done all my coaching, and the reality is there's always things that you're going to struggle with. One thing that I've realized, and maybe that's probably the biggest thing that I've realized, is that coaching will really help you to progress, but you're still going to struggle with things throughout your life. You just have a toolkit that you can tap into afterwards to go, okay, I know what I'm doing here, and I know how to stop, and I know things that I can do to bring this back into a more comfortable situation for me.
Yeah. Well, I love, how you're referencing, I think what I might call the inner witness that kind of develops as a result of being coached. And also I'm sure as training to become a coach, as we get really like almost like this champion part of ourselves that can step up and look out at all of our things in our life and our reactions to it and our responses, and almost like kind of like we develop an inner witness, but more than that, this higher self. And I don't like to think of it as like it's higher, but it's almost like a more expansive, mindful, creative self.
Yeah, I like to think of it as a pause. It's my pause button.
Yeah, your pause.
Hang on a second, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, I'd be curious, like, with your experience of coaching, launching your own business, like what would be some wisdom that you would give to future coaches or to even future clients, just in general? Like what would you say is kind of your golden nugget for people out there, getting themselves out there, building that confidence? I think it kind of applies to all of us, actually.
From an entrepreneurial perspective, gosh, I started from the very beginning. Like I didn't have anything when I stepped into coach training world. So it was very much we're starting from scratch here. But I knew that my passion was there and I knew who I wanted to help. And knowing the pain points, knowing what your potential clients are struggling with, I think once you've nailed that, it allows you to create a business around it. I remember when I started branding, and I mean, trust me, I'll talk about that in a minute, the actual setting up your own business, like, oh my goodness. But I remember talking about branding and the concept that I wanted, and I really wanted this idea of, you can come over for a cup of coffee and I'll sit and I'll listen, and this is a safe place, and it is intended to be welcoming and secure and confidential, but you can talk, you're free to talk. And that was the image that I had in my head when I went to create the business, and my whole branding and my whole website is now developed off that. And watching that transformation is quite phenomenal, but it comes from a core idea. And And I was so passionate about that idea when it started, that it's meant that the business I've created is right on point. Setting up a business, oh my goodness, I've learned so much over the last year. And I mean, from marketing to website design to content creation, social media, it's a lot of hard work, but keeping in mind who you want to help and why you're doing this has been my biggest saving grace. I have nearly thrown my computer into the fire a couple of times. but seriously, I know there's people out there that need this help, and that keeps me going.
Absolutely. And I would imagine that one of the things that people probably really observe with you is that you do hold that deep presence and that deep curiosity. And what I love the most about everything that you've brought into our community, into the work with your clients, is that you really do show up as Frieda. And just even watching you, your company name is Braving Boundaries, and I just want to say, I see you braving so many times out there and getting out of your own way. And even when we've talked about visibility, you're like, okay, here it goes. And I think that's one of the qualities that I love, is that as a community, we kind of hold each other up, we hold each other accountable, but in the end, we still have to step in. And you've certainly stepped in with great strides.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. There is a lot of fears do come up when you launch your own business. A lot of, what are people going to say? What are people going to think? How does this reflect against my current identity? That there are all those questions come up very naturally, and it's still learning to take those steps forward within keeping in mind who you're really out there to help.
Absolutely. Of service. I'm curious, is there anything we haven't talked about that you would love to share before we close up?
Just one thing that I think I have found fascinating is that whilst being a lawyer, I got to that stage of like feeling quite overwhelmed with learning more. There's always something more to learn. But once I started coaching, that passion and need and thirst to learn more and more and more things. So I've just done my Enneagram coaching, and I've not completed it yet, but I'm just in the process of taking the exam, and it's fascinating. And there's so many layers and so many different opportunities that you then want to take on and to explore once you've dipped your toe into one facet of it. I found it incredible.
Absolutely. I always giggle because when I trained to become a coach decades ago, it was like, and what else can I learn? And what else can I learn? And what else can I learn? And I don't know if it was more for me or for my clients, or if I said it was for my clients and it was for me, but there is just this voluminous opportunity for personal and professional growth. But also, I love the fact that you even mentioned this, you don't just help legal professionals, that a lot of the same things that you're serving that group with are for other people, as I would agree. And I think that's what I love coaching the most, is you're never limited in who you help. And
no, gosh, no. And I mean, I had a new client today, actually, who's got nothing to do with the legal world, and his problems are the same as everybody else's. So it was encouraging, and I love teaching. I love coaching around multiple aspects and multiple industries. So.
Yeah, and you probably like teaching too a little. Yeah.
The workshop side of things is quite fun. From a corporate side, and actually doing the seminars has been fascinating as well, and actually putting those out there, particularly as we've been doing it through lockdown. So that's been quite interesting.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to say thank you again for showing up, sharing about you. I'll put your website down below the video so people can come connect with you. What was that like? The website. It's there. So, but I just really want to say what a gift you've been to all the people that you've touched. And I just really want to say thank you again for being you.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure. Trust me, I am incredibly grateful for being part of the CTW world.
Thank you.